Good evening, welcome to Making It Monday, project 33. Mugalicious. How exciting. I will be your substitute host for this evening. Again, I'm making a habit out of it, aren't I? Actually, no, I'm not making a habit out of it. Mother's making a habit out of having well-deserved time off. And I don't think we can begrudge her for that. So I'm filling in. Abeygale is me. Lily is lovely, thank you darling. Lily is lovely. She is. Lily has bought me my iPad so that I can check on comments, etc, etc. Hi Debbie, lovely to see you all. Ask app not to track. No, we don't want any tracking business going on, do we? Right, just loading up Mum's page. Oh, here I am. 33. Oh, gosh, it's very delayed. There we go. I can see you all now. Hi Linda and Jane, Karen. Oh, hi Mum. She's got her feet up. It's all right for some, isn't it? Good evening, Jan and Lorraine. Who have I missed? Carol, Cheryl, Mandy, Carol Wheat's here. Debbie and Gemma are here as well. Rosemary's here. Oh, thank you, Mandy. Well, you do know I do like to make an effort for Making It Monday. Always put on something fancy for Making It Monday. I think that happens when you substitute for somebody. You sort of want to keep up their levels. So it's my mum. So naturally I'm not going to come in my joggers, am I? So I've got a nice frock on. But yes, it is Making It Monday. Lily, my sweetheart, you have left the door open. Thank you. She's good, but she's left the door. You weren't born in a barn, kid. Yes, so we're doing Making It Monday. Honestly, I'm over here again. So we're doing Mugalicious. Here is Mugalicious. I will show you the project in a moment. If you haven't got it already. Oh, hi, Jennifer. South Carolina. We are travelling far this evening, aren't we? Never mind that, Leslie. Keep one eye on the tennis. Oh, Linda's, I probably will pronounce this very wrong. Kelowna, British Columbia. I probably said that, I butchered that, didn't I? Oh, thank you, Karen. So this is Mugalicious. Head over to lizzycurtis.com and go to the MIM patterns. Pop Mugalicious in your cart and enter the code free at checkout and you'll be able to download this for free. It's the new pattern that was released at midday today, so brand new. Go and make my mum's phone ping with all of your orders for it. It is free. But there are 32 other Making It Mondays that are on there that are just £1 each. All have a video like this. So if you wanted, have a look through. There's stacks and stacks and stacks. Have a look through. And if any do tickle your fancy, they're only £1. So pop them in your basket, get them checked out. You can download the pattern and then all of the Making It Monday videos are on this page. If you're watching on an iPad and you're accidentally pressing the angry face, just be careful of the right hand side. If you are purposefully pressing the angry face, go off and watch the tennis, please. Thanks very much. So this is Mugalicious. I've got it on my mug now. I've got all of my bits and pieces in this one. I'll be honest with you, this is the one Mum made. So I've decanted my stuff into here because I've got a Cafe one that is mine. So this is Mugalicious. It goes all the way around the outside of your mug and then you get all the bits and pieces inside. I've also got a Tula one. Tula, and I've got a Cafe one. Mine sit right here every single time I'm in here stitching or not necessarily in here stitching because sometimes I stitch by the front window, but if I'm doing lives or maybe if I'm here stitching, these are always here next to me, keeping me organised-ish. If you know me, you know I'm not overly organised with my bits and pieces, but it keeps me organised-ish. So that's what we're going to make up today, Mugalicious. It's lovely and straightforward. You won't have a problem with it. There's no zips to insert. That's lovely, isn't it? Let me just tuck that down there. I've got a Cafe one as well. This is my Cafe one with glitter fabric. That one is the one I normally have. You can see it's folded. That's the one I normally have. But let me open this out for you so you can see. I mean, I could have just used the K4 on there, but it's nice to use the one that's on the front cover, isn't it? So this is Mugalicious, okay? This is the project. And what it does is, if you start at the handle end of your mug, wrap it round like so, and then you simply tuck this in, and it will stay down. It will stay down. Obviously it's a bit dodgy because I'm just sort of pushing it in, but that's what it looks like. And then of course it will stay down even more if you pop bits and pieces in the middle. So it's absolutely brilliant. So I'm going to pop all my bits and pieces back in there. You're not getting that one back, Mum, I'm afraid. So ooh, I've got a, hold on, I've got a stapler gone sideways in the bottom, so I couldn't get my rulers in. There we go. There we go. I'll put my, I'm trying to put everything in the middle, but of course I can use the outside pockets. Right, there it is, and I'm going to pop that next to me there. Good stuff. So let's just take a sip of my drink. I've got my, I'm not an alcohol drinker. I am a pop drinker. I'll have a pop when I do my live, and but I bought gin glasses. So cheers to you. Cheers for joining me. Ooh, that is refreshing. Right. As you know from my previous Making It Monday substitutions, no fancy cameras here, chaps. I'm just going to poke the camera down. I have learnt how to zoom in though, so I'll be trying that. We'll see how that goes. Who knows? But I'll poke you down now and we'll get started, shall we? Yes. Let's just have a look. Just make sure I'm not missing anything. You need a mug big enough for your iPad, Abby. I do. I've got my iPad case here. Oops. Look at that. Right. Let's just have a quick recap to see if there's any questions. Oh, Kate's going to use Tula. Brilliant. Has to be Tula. I know. I'm making a bumblebee one this evening. Oh, Sue's, it's damp in Cornwall, according to Sue. Yep, we're all well. We're all okay. Tina's watching tennis as well. That's perfectly fine. Don't worry about it. Right, okie dokie. I'm going to stand up and poke the camera down. As I say, we're not technical. We tried to be technical last night, failed. So we just go back to what we know. There we go. Right, let's poke you down. I hope no one's waiting over on YouTube, because they'll be waiting a long time, because Mum will be sharing this to YouTube, but it will be a recording. Right, so this is Mugalicious. This is the pattern. This is what yours will look like. Oh look, it's got my name on it this time. Designed by me, made by Mum, edited by Kath. What a team. What a team. So it will tell you what you need. It will tell you what you need in here. So we've got a fat quarter for the outer pocket and binding. We've got a lining fabric. We've got wadding. And then it tells you how to cut each piece. So that's absolutely fine. I'm going to go through this exactly as it says in the pattern. I'm going to make it up exactly. I'm going to try to do it exactly as it is in the pattern. Yeah, no, we're all good. Right, so that's what it will look like when you download it. If you want to save ink, don't bother printing out the first page. Hi Abby, have you lost an eye? Have I lost an eye? I don't know what that means. Yes, Annie, you will have done. Yes, I did have this on Hachanda. I did indeed. Right. Let's try 5 minutes, no sad faces or angry faces. 5 minutes, all right? If you can resist for 5 minutes, I'll let you carry on watching. If you can't resist 5 minutes, I'd probably say you don't want to be here. So, you know, toodle pip. Rightio, rightio. So let's follow the instructions. I hope I've got my iron on, which I do have. I've got my pressing mat at the ready. There we go. And we're just going to get cracking. Right, so the first job... Oh, I'll show you my fabrics. Oh, I've just dropped some. Hold on, I've got to put my hand through the... Thank you for all the love hearts. You know, sometimes people just need telling. It's like they think I'm forcing them to watch. Abby, following rules, I know. It does go against everything I stand for. Oh, on my live schedule board. Oh, yes, I am. Do you know what? I've probably got one here. No, I've got a 1. Here, look, I'll put a 1 on it so you can see it later. It will say, oh no, here's it upside down. It looks like it says Lilith. I'll put it, I'm messing around. You can't even see what I'm doing, but I'm just putting a 1 in it. Right, so this is the fabric I've got, dear me. So I've got Buzzy Bees, and I'm using this for the outer and the lining because, well, because I want to. It's my project. I want to have that lining. So that's what I'm going to do. It's very warm, Lily, my darling. Would you mind turning my fan on, please? I'm starting to cook a little. And it's probably a bit high. Right, I'm going to try and zoom you in a fraction. Whee, there we go. Look at that. Don't say I don't do technology here. Well, that's it. Perfect, Lily. Thank you. Right, so you've got outer lining and I've got wadding. You can use your 80-20 if you want. I'm just going to use this fusible one because I've got some scraps left of it. So I thought I might as well use it up for this project because it's a nice small piece. And the scrap I had wasn't very much bigger than this, so it actually worked out quite nicely. Right, layer the fabrics wrong sides together with wadding in between. So that means wrong sides together is right sides out. I don't know how you say things, but sometimes I'll notice the differences between Mum and I, and it's perfectly fine because it means exactly the same thing, but I'll say right sides out and Mum will say wrong sides together. It means exactly the same thing, but with the wadding in between. So this is the main piece of Mugalicious. So I'm just going to fuse this on. You can use, as I say, 80-20s, whatever wadding you want. You could use a foam, but the only thing about foam is when you go to tuck this over, you might struggle to get it to stay in the mug. Right, just bear with me while I just lift my chair up a little. I like to really look down on my work, so I have to have my chair up quite high, but I can't have it too high when I'm front facing you because you wouldn't see my eyes. Right, I'm just giving this a good press. There we go. This other side isn't fusible, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get my June Taylor spray. You don't have to do this, you could just pin these layers together, but I like to use my sprays because, you know, when you find something you like it, don't you? So lay these up wrong sides together, so that means both sides are right side. I've got to decide which one I want. I mean, it's pretty much the same that way and that way. When you've got your pocket on, of course, you cover some of the pattern up, so I was just thinking what pattern I want, what area I want, but I think, to be honest, it'll be, I mean, I don't know. I don't think it probably won't even matter. Right, sorry, I'm just getting a bit warm, so I'm just having a bit more of my drink. There we go. Okie dokie, so we've done that step. Easy. Our pocket piece. Now, where's my pocket piece gone? There's a good chance I've dropped it somewhere. Oh no, it's here, I've tucked it away. So this is my pocket piece, look at this. Gorgeous. So this is the pocket. We're going to fold the pocket in half lengthways and mark with pins. So I'm just going to give this a press first because I've got a fold where it doesn't need to be. So if I just open that out, so fold it lengthways, and that is wrong sides together, okay? You don't need to interface this pocket. It's actually better if you don't. I mean, dependent on, if you're using a poly cotton, I would say interface it with a H250. But if you're using a good quality cotton, you won't need to. Right, so here is our pocket piece, lovely and long pocket piece. I'll move my pressing mat now so we've got a bit more room to work with. And I'll bring in my pins. There we go. So, mark with pins on the folded edge, which is this top here, every 2.5 inches, then 2 inches, then 1.5. So if I grab my ruler here, what that means is we're going to measure 2.5 inches from the first edge. This is the left-hand side, okay? So we're going to measure 2.5 inches and we're going to pop a pin just in the top. If I can get that pin in. Now that pin is just a mark, but what it also does is when you're putting this together, you're going to use this pin again. So it's actually, you could mark it with a pen, but the pin is quite helpful. So I've done 2.5, then I'm going to do 2 inches. There we go, 2 inches. Then I'm going to do 1.5 inches. So every time I'm measuring from the last pin. Okay, there we go. So then I go back to 2.5 inches. So mark with my pin. Oops, there we go. And I can move this along as I work. So after the 2.5 inches, it's 2 inches. Pop my pin in. Now, I would love to see as many of these Mugalicious posted in the MIM group as possible. These would be so useful for kids' desks, you know, make them up in their favourite fabrics. They'd be useful for your husband's desk or anyone at work. So get making these. I would love to see the MIM group full of Mugalicious. 2 inches. So I'm just going through the list of the sizes. Oh, Jaden's at the window. Hello, darling. Oh, I've lost the point now. Jaden's my oldest. He got his mock GCSE results back today for his science, and he's absolutely smashed it. He ended up with a B. So I'm really thrilled. I'm really thrilled for him. Right, so there's all the markings. So that's along the folded edge. You can see the folded edge there, and you can see the raw edge there. Well done, Debbie. Oh yeah, I want as many people to watch as possible. So share the video. Share it in the MIM group. Share it in my group. Share, share, share. Mum mentioned it last week that when I stepped in the week before, or was it the week before that? Honestly, I lose track now. Is we're at 13,500 views, and it was just absolutely insane. Yeah, teachers' presents. What a great idea! You can make these up at teachers' presents. Just don't forget to take your picture. Don't forget to take your picture. Yes, so we're being a bit competitive. So I'd like you to watch this several times, have it on repeat, and get making those projects. Right, sorry, I digress. Right, we've done page 2 now, on to page 3. Okay, so this is where we now bring in our main pocket piece that we haven't done any stitching on yet. We've done no stitching. We're going to attach the pocket to the left-hand side to the outer piece. So that is this side, but at the bottom, so the 2 corners line up. You can see that there. That lines up beautifully. And you can put your quilting clips on. Oh, I can just see one. Hold on. It's not like me to be able to see a quilting clip, so I'm just going to grab it while I see it. I'm going to knock over all my threads now. So I'm just popping that clip on that edge there. Oh, Helen, first time MIM, welcome, welcome. I'm a stand-in host. It's normally my mum. Right, I'm just looking for, I can't find it. Here it is. So we've clipped it on the side here. Using a ruler or your cutting mat, move each pin to the left by 1 inch. Do not take the pins out, just re-pin. Okay, so that's why we're using pins. So what I do is you can use a ruler if you want to, or you can use your mat. If you've got a mat, honestly, life will be a lot easier. I'm going to switch this round so that you can see it. What I do is line up this bottom corner here. There. I'm going to line up this bottom corner. I've got my pocket right against the edge here, and this bottom corner now is exactly in a square, all right, as best as I can see upside down. What I want to do is I want to move this pin over by 1 inch. So that's why I find my mat really useful, because if you remember, this pin is on a 2.5 inch, but I can see obviously 1/2 inch marks on my mat. So what I'm doing is I'm picking up that pin and I'm moving it over, and then I'm just pinning it, pinning all the layers together. If I can just get my pin, there we go. Don't know why that didn't want to pin, but I'll do it again so you can see. I'm going to do it through the whole thing. So if you want to, you can move this so that your pin lines up with a line on your mat. But if you're happy with your 1/2 inch marks, then don't move it, just keep it as it is. But this pin here, there's my mark on my mat, and I want to move it over to this mark. So all I'm doing is picking up the pin and moving it across to that place. I'm going to take out the pin, but put it exactly back where it was and pin that down. All right, so you can start to see now that you're getting pockets. Next one, my pin, move it across to 1 inch and pin. Okay, like so. I'm getting quite a, oh, I've made my binding strip a bit wet with my pop. Getting quite a dry throat this evening. Right, sorry, I've got wet hands now, I've been touching my glass. So we move on to this pin, we're moving it across 1 inch to there. Look at that, look at those pockets coming now. Beautiful. Move this one to here. Next one to there. Oh. This one. I'm not doing anything different, I'm just moving them across 1 inch every time. Oh, there we go. That one didn't want to move very much. That was like, nah, actually I'm fine. I'm fine as I am, thanks. And then the last one, which will then take you to here. That one didn't, I think I've cut my strip a little bit too long. If you do have any overhang after moving that last one, then just give it a little chop. It might be you haven't moved them across quite exactly 1 inch each time. So I'm just going to chop that bit off there. Okie dokie. Now, when I've done that, what I've done is, if I lift it up, you can see slightly that I haven't kept it all straight, but I want that edge nice and flush. So I'm just going to take out my pin and move that fabric up, but each time putting my pin back exactly where it was, because it is important. So there we go. And just making sure that sits flush against that line, that bottom piece. Because you've done all this bit, you don't want to ruin it then by not having it straight. Pretty much, maybe I'll move that a little. Okay, I think we're okay now. I pick it up, we have a look over the back now. More or less, that bit there needs a bit of an adjust. Oops. Come on now, pin. I think I've got a blunt pin this end, you know. Just doesn't want to go through the layers. There, okay. So that's what we've got now. Looking pretty good, looking pretty good. On the raw edges at the bottom of the pocket piece, pleat each individual pocket and pin or clip. You could gather instead of pleating, based along the bottom raw edge if you wish. Now I do like to do that. Yes, you could use heat erasable pens. You could, yes, totally. Sometimes heat erasable pens do leave a ghost line. So on fabric like this white one, for example, there would be a good chance that I might be able to see my lines ever so slightly in certain light situations. So doing it this way means that I'm not compromising this fabric in any way. However, if you've got good quality heat erasable pens, they shouldn't do that. So yes, if you want to mark 1 inch lines on your fabric and move it along, then please go ahead and do that. Whatever works for you. So we're going to pleat these. Now to be honest, the way I pleat is this. Done. But no. What you can do is just, I'm using this one as an example because it's a nice, it's one of the 2.5 inch pieces. But I will often just bring it in and then I'll just push it down. And you can see then that that produces a really nice pleat. So if I pop a pin in, I can't actually get that. I think I've got a couple of duff pins. There we go. So if I pop that pin in there, you can see now that that pleat, can you see that that sits really nicely? And I'll do that with all of them. I'm just going to be careful because I keep moving it. So I just open up the pocket, I push down in the centre, and then I bring my 2 sides in. This one, I don't know why it's not playing ball with me, but there we go. Right, behave yourself. So I like to bring it up, push it down, and then bring the 2 sides in, and then you'll have a really nice pleat. Or you can do it, bring your fingers in and then push it down like that. It's entirely up to you which way you want to do it. It genuinely makes no difference. So pin, and then this one, open that one out, pin. This one's okay because this is a nice flat pocket that will hold like a pencil. But I'll go back along this side now because I started over here because it was a nice big pocket to show you. So I'm just readjusting that one. Wasn't the best pleat I'd ever done in my life. So there we go. And then the same again. So all we're doing is we're making these bits of fabric here at the bottom flat so that we can then stitch it. So continue on to this piece. I'm just pushing it down with my fingers. You can see exactly what I'm doing, I hope. Next one. Like so. And I will baste this down. Now what I'll do is I'll just increase my stitch length on my machine. Yes, Mum, you can have this one as I'm keeping your one. I'm just going to increase the stitch length on my machine. And I'm going to stitch the bottom of this edge 1/8 of an inch away from the edge. That way the fabric will stay exactly where I want it to stay. But there's no risk of me being able to see these stitches. So I've used a whole load of pins here. You could have probably used half as many as I've used, but I like it this way. So I've got all my pockets. So now if I move my iPad, I'll just pop it on the floor for now. I do like to have the iPad there so I can see your comments. Right, just move my pins. So I'm going to baste this now. So I'm going to increase my stitch length on my machine to 4. I've got dodgy thread in here and I will move it. I will change the thread, but for the basting of this I'm totally fine. So I'm going to stitch this, as I say, about 1/8 of an inch away from the edge and on a nice long stitch. All I'm looking to do is secure these pleats down. I'm going to remove my pins as I go. And you can hold down your pleat so you've got, and then take your pin out so you've got no you're nowhere near your pins. So this one, I'll just hold this pleat down. And of course, when you baste and you increase your stitch length, your machine will go faster because you've increased that stitch length. So it's traveling a longer distance. So if you're worried about that, just decrease the speed on your machine before you start basting. Otherwise you will go off like Lewis Hamilton, or Max Verstappen it should be, shouldn't it, at the moment, because he's the current fastest chap on the Formula 1. I do enjoy Formula 1, I have to say. I enjoy it because, honestly, that's my designated nap time. And yes, I did say my designated nap time, because that's I do have a designated nap time. Right, so we've just basted along the bottom of there. Sorry, I think I froze there. My my phone wanted to tell me that I had 20% of battery, so bear with me, I'm going to plug you in. Make sure I don't move anything. Hopefully that should be okay now. It's on. Right, so we're going to stitch up from the basted edge. What we're doing is we're using the pin as our guide. So I'm starting at this bottom edge here, and I'm going up to the top here. And that you could draw on this if you wanted to, heat erasables, but I'm using that as my guide. Now on that top area, when you get to the top here, I do like to do a back stitch because you will put pressure on these pockets as and when you're using them. So don't just stop and cut your threads. Do a little back stitch. You'll thank me for it. But don't forget to decrease your stitch length. And if you're like me, and you normally use any colour thread going, I'm just going to change my thread to this yellow. Oh no, actually no, I'm not. I'm going to use this. I've got a different colour I'm going to use. I quite like this one. I quite like this one for this. I'm going to keep my lime green bobbin in because it wouldn't be totally me if I didn't have something a bit different. So I'm just threading my machine out. I know you can't see that, but I'm just doing that ever so quickly over here so that I can get this stitched. Oops, there we go. So yeah, if you want to draw your lines on, then do feel free. Oh, I've got a... Is that alright? Did I thread that right? Yes. Honestly. So I'm going to start at the bottom edge. You can start in the seam of your seam allowance at the bottom here where we've basted. That would be preferable if you started right at the bottom, and then you go right to the top where your zip is. Follow that line of the zip. Get zip. Got zips on the brain. Pin. Go right to the top. You can't see that very well, can you? Hold on. If I move that, you might be able to see. Hold on. Hold on, I'm going to move the camera. Right, I'm not going to stitch like this because it's totally back to front. But you can see now that my needle is pretty near the end. What I'm going to do is go to the end and then do a couple of back stitches there, and then cut my threads, and then start from the bottom again and work my way up again, and do that all along the rows. So I'll turn it back round to me. And I'll turn my camera back to where it was. It's tricky, isn't it, when you've got different angles. So right to the end. Oh, I've changed my stitch. Little back stitch. Cut my threads. And then move along to the next one. So right at the bottom. Mind my pin. And do a back stitch, just a little one, and we can trim off all our threads at the end. So just go through the piece and do these stitches. we go. It comes together really nice and quickly. Didn't quite get to the end of that one, but it'll be fine. Right, next one. There we go. This is quite a nice stitch. It's quite a nice, it's, you know, got repetitive things that you have to do. So once you get to grips with it, you can whiz these up in no time, and you'll have loads made up. You were like, oh right, I'll just knock one of those up for, you know, somebody's leaving gift or something like that. So we're over halfway now doing these stitches. Always move the pin before you get to it, and then get that back stitch done. I actually did the back stitch in the right place that time. And nearly done. Pin. And 2 more to go. And you can't see obviously. What I'm doing is I'm spreading open the pleats to get in between on the flat one as I'm going. So all the way. And then my last one. Good. Okay, so now I can trim off all these threads. Got a bit of zipper tape stuck on that one. I'm just getting rid of these threads so that when I pop the binding on, they don't stick out between the layers and cause me problems later on. Oops. Okay, that's not too bad. And then over this side, just any threads that need trimming off, I'll do it now. That's okay. Yep, not too bad. Okay, let's get rid of those threads now. Right, so now we're completely pin free. So I always feel a bit more comfortable when I'm pin free. Ooh, there we go. So there's the basics, as you can see. So that was page 3. We move on to page 4. Now, binding now. Now, don't be frightened. You can do your binding in 2 ways. You can do the binding that I'm going to show you this evening, which is lovely, lovely and simple, or you can do your binding in a continuous strip and mitre your corners. I've actually ruined the pattern. I've made it all wet with my drink. Right, so what we're going to do is bring in our pressing mat that I put over here, and I'll bring up my iPad again so hopefully I can see. There we go. Oh yeah, Harry Potter fabric, perfect. Right, so we're going to pop this to the side for a moment, and we're going to bring in our binding. So using the 2 short binding pieces, which I'm using the same fabric as my pocket, we are going to pin or clip the raw edges together and sew 1/4 inch along each side edge. Press it back over once stitched. So we're just going to press them so they're nice and flat to begin with. And then we're going to bring those edges together and press, and the same with this one. There we go. This is, yeah, I always seem to pin my fingers as well, always. I know they're there, I know I need to move my hand, but for some reason, I'll just pin myself. And then I'll think, why have you just done that? When I know full well. I just, you know, I don't know, I'm probably just enjoying stitching too much. Right. So we are going to then, using the 2 short binding pieces, pin or clip the raw edges together and sew 1/4 inch along each side edge, which is these 2 short edges here. So we're going to place that like that. So this is the folded over edge, and this is the raw edge. So that raw edge is going to go against the raw edge of this piece. I'm going to pin it. One day I'll find my quilting clips, but that day is not today. I'm going to pin this. I think I might have a dodgy batch, you know. Here we go. So I'm going to I'll just pop 3 pins in. I'm just making sure that raw edge is lining up like that. And then I'm going to repeat that over the other side. Now I have got a quilting clip on this side, so I could use that potentially. So I'm just going to move that pocket and place my strip there, and a couple of pins there. I mean, that will probably do, to be honest. I don't really need another clip there. So now we're going to stitch this. I might as well just keep my iPad on the floor for the time being, because it's, you know, a bit of stitching to do now. Right, we're going to stitch these sides now 1/4 inch. So bring in the machine. There we go. And stitch this down now by 1/4 inch from top to bottom. There we go. That's one side, and then turn it round and we'll do the other side. Moving the pins out as I go. I don't ever stitch over my pins, no matter what pins they are. I never stitch over them. Okay. So pop those away. So now we're going to press these back over. So get your iron and press this out. This is what I do. I always press out first and then I'll press it over. So I'll give it a good amount of heat. So that really is pressing that seam out really nicely. Do the same on the other side. It's not as wonky as it looks. That's just my stitching. And then, so we've pressed that side out and then we're going to flip it over and we're going to press it over. I'm presuming that's what Mum said we're doing. Hold on. Press the lining edges. Fold over the short edges. Trim all edges. Fold over the short ends only. Oh, so we're not doing that. Oh, I was going to do it a different way. I had in my head that I was going to do it a different way than that. And then I just looked at the pattern and I thought, oh no, Mum didn't do it that way. I'm just going to re-stitch this bit here because I've gone a bit wonky and it's affecting the raw edge of my binding. So just bear with me while I just re-stitch that bit. There, that's much better. I could just see it coming away ever so slightly there and it was a bit wonky, so that was annoying me. And you know that because Mum wants this. Okay, there we go. Right, so let's do what Mum wants me to do. So we've pressed this open, but we've not pressed it back, okay? We've not pressed it back, we've just pressed it open. So they're nice and flat now, okay? I'm hoping you can see that. It's hard to tell. There. Right, now we're stitching the 2 long binding pieces in place, sewing right across the short binding pieces. So we need to fold our long pieces. This piece needs a press first because I cut it from a fat quarter that had been folded and then I didn't bother pressing it. So wrong sides together. So we've got a lovely neat fold. There, look at that, that's really nice. And then I'll do the other one while I'm here. Press that. Oh, that's very wonky pressing. No. No, it wants to be wonky. Okay, embrace it. I'm not going to fight against you, honeycomb fabric. If that's the way you want to go, that is the way I'll let you go. Right, now we're stitching the 2 long binding pieces in place, sewing right across the short binding pieces. So we are going to lay this here. We're going to go right across the bottom. So this is my raw edge, this is my folded edge. We're going to pin that into place, and we're going to stitch right across the short binding pieces, so the whole way across. So if I get my trusty sidekicks on the case, just keep it nice and flat. That's that one. You could pin both pieces on, but I'll probably just do one and then the other, just because I don't like to wrestle with too many bits and pieces. Why bother? So I'm just finding a nice bit of not too much fabric to pop my pin in. There we go. I don't know if you ever get this, but can you see that muscle spasm I've got in my hand there? Did you see that? That it just went all tight. That happens to me all the time when I'm stitching. It probably won't happen now. I can't make it do it. Oh, hi, Aj. Nice to see you. Bonjour. Right, so we've attached that one there, and now we're going to stitch 1/4 inch again from this corner to this corner. So bring in the machine. Try your best not to change any. I always manage to change my stitch when I'm moving this machine. And to be honest, I'm not going to moan because I love this machine so much. Oh, it was just doing it then. So I'm just going for it. And I've moved the, I'm going to take my pins out now because I've moved this as there we go. So there is a fair amount of fabric you're stitching through here, remember, on this edge, because you've got your pockets that you've then pushed in, you've pleated, so you've got a few layers. So you don't have to go as fast as I am. You can just take your time. Now, I'm live to my supporters on Wednesday night, and I would really like it if one of them that's watching would please remind me on Wednesday to change the needle in my machine. Because I will not remember. So if you could remind me, that'd be great. Right, I'm popping on the other piece now. Again, this is the folded edge, this is the outer edge, this is the raw edge that's going on the raw edge of the top here. Pinning that into place. There we go. It's this pin. I don't know why I keep trying to use that same pin. There we go. And thank you, Debbie. I can rely on you. I just need someone to say, no, I haven't done it yet. No, no, I haven't. Of course I haven't. You know me, come on. Of course I haven't. I need someone to tell me to do it. Right, now I'm going to stitch that one down. That's why I'm telling you to tell me to do it. Right, stitching this into place. Not as many layers here because you've not got your pocket piece. Can you hear that though? It's making like a when you need to replace your needle, your fabric will make almost like a ticking sound. From the needle going in, and that is what I'm getting now. Ticking. Leslie's changed hers twice in 24 hours. Leslie, that's just showing off. Right, trim all the edges. I'll confess, I've not done binding like this before. So I'm trimming all edges. Oh, I'm gonna trim this and then I'm gonna do it first and then trim it. Fold over the short ends only. And fold over the short ends only. Hold on, I'm going to run through this in my brain first. Press that out. Fold over the short ends only. Oh, it does. Yes, how wonderful. Right, so I'm going to press this out. I always do mitered binding, you see. So this is a lovely, easy way of doing binding. I mean, for quilts and things, I'll still stick to my mitered corners. But for projects like this, absolutely, this is fun. This is a really great way of doing your binding. So I've pressed those out, as you can see, yeah, and then I'm going to trim off these ends so that they're all level, hopefully. That's Lily, by the way, if you can hear anything. Lily's swivelling around in her chair. Ooh, come on now, there we go. So I'm just trimming this off. I am moving this ever so slightly when I'm messing about with it, but it'll be fine. Just be careful that you don't cut into those lovely folded edges. That you don't want to cut those. Right, so this is what we've got now. Okay, so fold over the short ends only and machine stitch or hand stitch on the back. I do enjoy to hand stitch my binding, but for this instance I will machine stitch it. I know, right? So turn it over. I'll start with this end. We're going to bring this, so this is the back, we're going to bring this binding edge over, all right? I do hate to machine stitch binding because I just can't, I never can do it neatly. I mean, half the time, as you've probably seen, I really like to go fast on my machine. And I feel like you do need to go a bit slower. But and I'll be honest, I enjoy the mindfulness of hand stitching my binding because I like to sit in front of the TV and just hand stitch it. Right, so I've pinned that end and then I'm going to pin the other end exactly the same. Pin. Pin. I've only done 2 pins this side, I did 3 the other side. So when I flip it over, this is what it looks like. You've got 2 folded over ends and then you've still got these 2 ends that haven't been folded over. So now we're going to machine stitch these. If you want to, you can press these. Sometimes I find that does help me if I'm machine stitching my binding. To be honest, not much will help me when I'm doing that, and I want to put my pins the other side because I'm going to stitch from the front. Oh, there's David home from work. Bless him. Got lots of work on at the moment, so he's doing quite long days. Just pulled on the drive, so that's lovely. Do excuse me while I'm just moving my pins. I'll get rid of that one. There we go. I like to have my pins at the top because I like to stitch the top. So I've just moved them so that I can remove them as I do it. So machine stitch these. You can go right from the end, sorry I missed it. You can go right from the end here, or because this is going to be folded over, I suppose you could start in the corner. But I wonder if Mum started in the corner. I'll be able to tell by looking at her piece. He's knocking on the window. Actually, I can't tell because obviously they're tucked away. But we'll start right from the edge. Why not? Let's do more of the way of the binding that I don't like. As in machine stitching. I love this way of doing the binding, but I'm no good at it. Truly, I'm not. You'll see. So I'm just stitching basically stitching in the ditch this binding down from the front. And I'm not shy, I'll show you how useless the back is. I can guarantee you it's useless. Oh, to be honest, I'm a bit embarrassed about that. It's not too bad. I have missed a section. I'll put my finger over the really rubbish bit and just show you the... that's the really rubbish bit. Now I'm going to do the other side. Right, stitch this down. Good job it gets tucked in a mug really, isn't it? Right, let's just get this stitched. There we go. Now, I won't lie to you, that's very neat. Look at that. Look at that. That's not too shabby. Right. I'm just going to give those ends a press because I do like to have a nice press. There we go. That'll sit nicely. Okie dokie. Oh, sorry, I've just lost a hair and it's gone on my arm. That's irritating. Now we're going to fold over the long binding pieces and we can either hand stitch or machine stitch. Well, you know I'm going to machine stitch because that's what I've got to do. So flip it over, bring that side up. There we go. And then you're probably better off quilting clip this one because you've got a little bit of bulk at the ends there. But you know that I've got to put my pins in from the front. So I'm going to press this first before I flip it over because that way is going to give me a nice neat edge. There we go, let's just give that a nice neat edge. Okay, and then I'll just do the other side while I'm here. There we are. Went over my finger there. I wasn't concentrating, was I? So there we go. Press that down. And then pop my pins into place. So there's that one. And this one. Just make sure that's going to catch. Hopefully it will. And again, that's Lily. You can hear odd noises that sound remarkably like a snort. It's not. This is another blunt pin. It's not. It's Lily. I don't know. Is it the chair or is it actually you, Lily?
It's the chair.
Oh, it's the chair. It is the chair. Lily says it is the chair. Right. So there's there's that top edge, and then I'll repeat that on this bottom edge. Oops. Come on, pins. There we go. And in the middle. And one at the end here. Now, if you find that your ends are quite bulky, because dependent on what fabric you've used, they might be a little bit bulky. I would just hand stitch those corners, to be perfectly honest with you. I would hand stitch those because this fabric is very good. It's very good quality and it's fairly thick. So I would hand stitch those corners because I really don't think that my machine will like it. But I'll give it a couple of stitches and we'll have a look. Oh, it's not too bad. Right, take out the pins as I go. This is going to be, I've moved it a bit, so it's going to have a little bulge in it. Take out the next pin. I've not done very straight binding here, but we're fine. Take out that pin. And just go nice and slowly in those corners. There we go. So there's one. Oh, I've totally missed one side. I've totally missed one bit. Quilter's tape. Hold on. I'm just going to cover my error with a bit of quilter's tape. I've missed a patch of stitches. So it's nothing that I can't fix behind the sewing machine with a bit of quilter's tape. This is why I like to hand stitch my binding. Please don't judge me on my binding skills, because I love to bind. I just can't machine. I can't do the back via machine stitching. Never have. And to be honest, it doesn't get better. Even more I try, it doesn't get better. Right, so there's the back now. And I'll do this side. I'm probably not going to catch this either. I might even just quilting tape it and then stitch it. I'm going to tape it down. I just don't see what there's any problem with that. I'm just using a bit of my quilter's tape. And I'm going to pop this binding over. Ha ha ha! Look at that. Oh yes, brilliant. Da, 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 da. And then I'm going to stitch it. And just as I get to those corners, I'm just going to actually slow my machine down. Trim off my threads, trim off my threads, trim off my threads. This corner's a bit dodgy, but we'll brush past that. we'll brush past that, it doesn't matter. Right, put my pins away, get the lid on those so I don't drop any. And then I'm going to give it a really nice press. I'll use my best press at this stage because it's flying away. I don't need that much. I really don't need that much. Yes, my new needle would have gone through it like butter. So giving this a really nice press. I always say a really nice press, like you're going to do a horrible press. Of course you won't. You'll do a nice press. Look at that. Gorgeous, really gorgeous, lovely fabric. So now if I get my mug, sorry Mum, I have to take off yours. Get my mug. There's Mugalicious in all its glory. Lovely, lovely, isn't it? I love that. I like that I chose the same colour for the binding. Pop that in, like so. Pop my ruler in. Pop my scissors in there. These scissors are too big, so they'll go over there. Oops. I'll pop my rainbow brush in there. Put my pokey tool in there. I've got my clicky pen I'll put in there. Oh, I've got another pokey tool. I could put that in there, couldn't I? My best press could go in the middle, like that. I'll remove this little stapler. You don't need that. Oh, I'm taking it apart. My best press, I'll show you when I've filled it up with all my gubbins. My best press and my other ruler. Oh, my really shiny pen. This is a lovely shiny pen. That can go in there. Little scissors can go in there. Oh, heat erasable pens. They can go in here. There. Hold on, I'm going to move the camera. I don't know why I've got a random screw in there. Got a massive screw on. So. Right, let's zoom out to how you were. Bear with. Hi, it's me. It is still me. There we go. there's your Mugalicious, full up of all your bits and pieces. Look at those colours, really gorgeous, and it would make a really lovely gift. You can do all sorts of different colour combinations. You could be, as you spoke about, you could be doing your Harry Potters, you could be doing your kids' favourite characters, you could be doing, I don't know, for example, Seb's class is, he's a bird, he's a falcon. Maybe I could make falcon, I could do falcon fabric, or fabric with birds on for the other teachers. There's all sorts of, his school is all bird named, the classes. So yeah, you can make all sorts. Now I'd love to see them in the Making It Monday group. Come on, let's see if we can make the most Mugaliciouses, the most Mugaliciouses that's ever been. Let's beat all other previous Making It Mondays. Some have been real popular, so that will be tricky, but I trust you, okay? I'm relying on you. Get your Mugalicious, get them made. Yeah, get them made for teachers. You could pop initials on if you wanted to. You could do all sorts of things, couldn't you? Let's be honest. Sparkly fabric, I mean, gorgeous. So get them made. You could give them a World's Best Teacher mug. World Best Teacher mug with a Mugalicious. Yeah? So go for it. Get those made. Go to the website, lizzycurtis.com. Download. Oh, it's all wet. It's all wet. Download Project 33, put free, free in the coupon code. Yeah, you can totally monitor the corners, 100%. Yes, the eye is missing, so now it's a 1. It's a long 1. Grab that on the website. It's only free for a week, so you've got to, or 5 days, week, 5 days, something. So you need to download it now. You might as well do it today. Don't wait for the email to come. Just when you go through the order process and it says thanks for your order, there's a button that says download, and just download it straight away to your computer, and then you've got it forever. Right, thank you so much for joining me. Cheers to you all. Mum will be back next week, of course, and I'm sure I'll fill in another time in the future. Let us smash the views. Come on. Come on now. And let's get as many Mugaliciouses as we can. That's possible, is what I was going to say. That didn't make any sense. Let's get them made. Let's get them in the group. I'd love to see them all. Right, I'm going to log off now. Thank you so much for joining me. You can like my page if you like. Get Sewing with Abeygale. Little shameless little self plug there. And I'll see you the next time. Bye, everybody.